In your National Prayer Breakfast speech, you made a statement about your legacy of wanting to be remembered as a peacemaker. I know that I can speak for many of my fellow service members who are here today, veterans, Medal of Honor recipients, how deeply that resonates with us. For those who volunteer to put their lives on the line when duty calls, but to have a president and commander-in-chief who recognizes the cost of that sacrifice.
Real quick, asshole. He's talking about troops being sent to Gaza to broom everyone out. What are you talking about?
And ensuring that war.
I mean, what she means is you're going to replace all the humans in our army with bots and with drones, and we'll just kill whoever we want. And therefore, you can't. I mean, what are they going to do? Fly over here and arrest our drone operators? They never left the country.
War is the last resort, not the first. So thank you for your leadership on behalf of my.
Also, when has it ever been the first resort? I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes it should be a last resort, but sometimes it's the fifth resort. Last would be sixth, but they wanted to get a jump on it. Get there before everybody else does, before all the eggs are gone.
Friends here and all who wear the uniform. We're grateful. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me get another piece of that. Give it up, baby. It's gross. And the sad thing is that if you listen quietly, you can hear, right? just as he pulls her in, just that he and he has a tendency to like squeeze the hand right before. Okay. Yeah, you got a little saliva on your earlobe there, baby. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? Look at him. Look at him. I mean, like, I only have so much sympathy for her, but it's almost like I feel bad for all the women in the world just because of the position she's in right this very second.
Thank you. When and where do you plan on meeting with Vladimir Putin? And were there any preconditions set?
Usually at the proctologist's office is usually where we do it. That way he's got, you know, if he lets me, there's a little less of that lube with the sand in it.
Did you agree to this meeting?
No, we had a great call. And
that was a lie. Did you hear the sniff right after that? We had a great call.
Lasted for a long time, over an hour.
Long time.
This morning, and it lasted for.
Hold on.
No, we had a great call, and.
No, he didn't.
And it lasted for a long time.
Hour and a half. We know. You know how we know? The Kremlin told us.
Over an hour. This morning, I also had with.
Also, I'm sorry, do you get a little, like, statue for the length of the call?
President Zelensky, a very good call after that. And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and
Why? Because he said he wants peace, and then he told you all the things he would need to have peace that pretty much point out that he doesn't actually want peace?
President Zelensky wants peace.
Also, why would he want peace? He fucking started it.
Peace, and I want peace. I just want to.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, I'm convinced then. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for the super chat. And JD Christie, thank you. Sorry you missed your cue. Thank you.
See people stop getting killed. We're very far away from that particular war, but that's a vicious war. Probably 1.5 million soldiers killed in a short period of time. I've never.
Again, it's the volume, not the reasoning behind it, the morals of it in the first place. It's just any death. Just stop it. Let Putin have whatever he wants.
Never seen anything. I have pictures that are, you wouldn't believe it.
Yes, I would. I've seen them the entire fucking time, you weirdo.
You wouldn't believe what you have to look.
Go on fucking Telegram.
Look at young, beautiful soldiers that are just being decimated. then it would be
Sorry, were you sexually attracted to the corpses?
nice to end it immediately. But
what? I thought that was the deal. Listen to this shit.
decimated, then it would be nice to end it immediately. But we had a very good talk with.
But you didn't? Wasn't it going to be fucking 24 hours from when he was elected? Very quickly, one phone call. Remember that? I don't want to hear a but, asshole. You can't do it.
People didn't really know what President Putin's thoughts were, but I think I can say with great confidence he wants to see it ended also. That was...
Well, yeah, because he's running out of money and soldiers. Because he's losing. And by the way, I'm guessing he would rather have it end with him having Ukraine. Right? That's what the purpose of this war. He started it.
That's good.
That's good.
And we're going to work toward getting it ended and as fast as...
We'll work towards getting it ended as fast as possible. 24 hours, motherfucker. Tick tock.
Possible. It's a horrible situation going over. It's flat land.
Is it? Oh, my God. We're going to go like, nothing stops a bullet but a beautiful young body.
And the bullet goes off, and the only thing it can hit is a body, a human body, a young human body.
Largely because the Ukrainians, I guess, have moved the old people out of the way, or
and they're losing just
a lot of young human bodies.
Tremendous numbers of mostly soldiers. The cities and towns have been largely demolished. It's a shame what's happened to that country. It would have never happened if I were president. That I can tell you. It would have never happened.
Right. You would have just helped him assassinate the leader and take over the country, and we would have gone back to pre-Maidan 2014.
To look at that, and October 7th would have never happened either, by the way, Middle East.
Dude, you're queuing up the next one.
But we'll get it. I think we'll get it. We'll get something done. We're going to be meeting.
Really? You'll get something done? I thought that something was going to be peace in 24 hours.
Actually, tomorrow they're meeting in Munich, as you know, and we're going to have some other meetings, and I'll be dealing with President Putin largely on.
Largely, on what? Whether he's trimmed his nails.
The phone, and we ultimately expect to meet. In fact, we expect that he'll come here, and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we can get something done.
Sorry, you're going to invite Putin to the fucking White House? Are you stupid? Why? Why does he get a state visit? After all this shit, after what he's done to the world, all this kind of stuff. I mean, again, it's like you could meet with these assholes someplace else, but letting him into the Oval Office, it sounds like you just need some alone time with your handler.
But we want to end that war. That war is a disaster. It's a really bloody.
Right. It was supposed to be a quick win. If you'd have been in office, it would have been.
Horrible war.
Did you Saudi Arabia, the first meeting will happen?
I think so. We think we're going to probably meet in Saudi Arabia, the first meeting. Hasn't been set, but not too distant future.
Will Zelensky be part of that meeting?
We both understand, we know the Crown Prince, and I think it'd be a very good place to meet.
So it sounds like that would just be a meeting between you and Putin and perhaps the Crown Prince, but not President Zelensky?
Probably we'll have a first meeting, and then we'll see what we can do about the second meeting.
Are those, is the first meeting and the second meeting, are both of them going to happen within 24 hours of November of last year?
To go to Ukraine?
What about Ukraine?
Did you commit to go to Ukraine as
No,
well?
I haven't. I haven't committed to
Would
go
you
to
go?
Ukraine. I would think about going. Yeah, I'd think about it. No problem.
You say today, Mr. President, that they received your vision. What is your plan to end this war? Like today, Secretary.
Well, I'm not going to tell you my plan. I can
just tell you that I have concepts of a plan, and I have what most people would call
just tell you we've made a lot of progress. This should have been done by Biden, not by me, because this has been going on for now a long time, years, and it should have been done by Biden.
What? Give Russia whatever they want just to shut it down? Acquiesce to whatever Vladimir Putin needs? That's what should have been done? Because that's what you're talking about. How about no?
Just like the young gentleman that I brought home yesterday after 2 weeks. We worked on it for 2 weeks. He was a fine man, and he was in there for 3.5, almost 4 years, and they weren't able to do a thing, and I got him out. And as you know, I didn't pay $6 billion. I didn't pay.
No, you traded him for a guy who ran a crypto exchange that laundered $4 billion for gun runners and human traffickers. The dude is responsible for a shit ton of fentanyl getting in the goddamn country. He traded him for a Russian dude who was financing fentanyl coming into the United States. Just, that's enough. That's all. That's the only detail you need to know. Everything else is a fucking wash. It's a goddamn show. They gave Vogel to us because they were doing him a favor and trying to look like they're being magnanimous in this situation. Like, fuck off.
Pay anything. We did a trade.
Oh yeah, who'd you trade? What? Tell us about the guy you traded. What was his name? How about him? What did he do? Why do we even have somebody to trade?
And we did a good job. We got him out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, all we had to do was give him a guy who traded in human beings and guns and fentanyl in the United States and around the world, and who runs a crypto exchange because Don Jr. likes crypto.
He should have been out years ago. Really should have been out years ago.
Oppose NATO membership for Ukraine?
I don't think it's practical to have it, personally. I know that a new Secretary of Defense, who's excellent, Pete, made a statement.
Pete made a statement. I remember him. We met him last year. Pete H made a statement
Today saying that he thinks it's unlikely or impractical. I think probably that's true. I think long before President Putin, they said there's no way they'd allow that.
Who's they?
This has been going on for many, many years.
Also, by the way, no, in the NATO-Russian founding agreement in 1997, Russia signed off on the idea that any of their former satellite states, if they want to join NATO, they can, but they don't have to, and they have no say in it because every country in their sovereignty gets to pick and do whatever they want for their own national security. That was it. Fucking done. 1997, signed on the bottom before Putin. It was signed off. They were done. So no. A long time ago, Russia said if Ukraine wants to join NATO, they can join NATO. Okay? That was asked and answered 2 decades ago. Over 2 decades ago.
They've been saying that for a long time, that Ukraine cannot go into NATO. And I'm
also, like, the reason they said that is so they could attack. Stupid. Right? That's why they said it. Ukraine can't join NATO. We're planning on attacking them.
And I'm okay with that. I just want the war, whether they are or they're not. But it certainly would seem to be that most people have said that is something that's not going to happen.
First of all, nice leadership. What do you mean most people? They're asking, you're the president of the United States. They're asking your opinion on this thing. Pretend somebody asked me that question. What about Ukraine joining NATO? Well, in 1997, Russia signed off on every one of its former satellite states being able to take care of their national security however they see fit. And I would say that includes joining NATO. Now, should they have to join NATO because they're worried about Russia? No. But if there's a country that does, like Finland or Ukraine that has a border with Russia, I think they have more reason than most to join NATO for their own protection, because it's been shown that Russia cannot be trusted to stay inside their own borders. Georgia, Chechnya, Ukraine twice. Whether or not they are officially in NATO, they are going to need security protections from the United States, as we promised when they gave up their nukes, or Europe, or both. And because of Russia's aggression, now we have to put either American soldiers or European soldiers on the ground in in Ukraine along whatever border is decided we go back to keep the Russians from trying again. And that's not because of something Ukraine did. That's not something that NATO did. There's not a single NATO country that has fired inside Russia ever. NATO's expansion is completely voluntary. CSTO's expansion is at the barrel of a gun. Vladimir Putin needs to answer to why he is forcing his former satellite countries to join CSTO or be attacked. The rest of the world needs to get on with our lives. And every time we turn around, Russia tries to salami slice its way through a former satellite country that's just getting on its feet. The world needs the Russian people because they are a part of the great tapestry of planet Earth. But we don't need their oil that bad. We don't need their gas that bad. And we certainly don't need them to have the ability to just wag nuclear fear over the world so that they can punch out whoever they want on a whim. It's absurd. No one is trying to attack them. They're paranoid and they need to stop. How hard is that? How about that? That's how you answer it. How come I know about the 1997 NATO founding agreement with Russia and he doesn't? He was already president for 4 years. Where's the economic benefit to Europe or the United States with Russia salami slicing its way through other countries all the time? They're undermining the economic stability of all these other countries, and it's a waste. It's a waste. It stops business. The rest of us want to make shit and do shit and sell that shit to other people. And Russia keeps getting in the way for whatever reason, and it's a shame because they're very bright and they were great with rockets for a while, and they were great with oil exploration for a while, and I guess they make a mean vodka I don't drink, but whatever. The Russian government and the Russian people need to stop making their mark on the world a scar and start taking their ingenuity and their intellect and their industrious nature and start building stuff instead of blowing things up. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of human life. And Russia doesn't have the young men to spare. That's all the questions I'm taking for today. See you later. Sorry about farting when I gave you a hug earlier, Tulsi. It won't happen again. Yes, it will. That's basically how I would handle it. I probably wouldn't have sworn if it was the real thing. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. In 2029, you think it'll matter? So.
Are you freezing out President Zelensky of this process a bit? Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so, as long as he's there. But, you know, at some point you're going to have elections, too. You're going to have an election.
He says he wants security assurances, Mr. President. What does that look like?
In terms of what?
If the war were to end, he says he wants guarantees of security.
We'll see what that means. I think when the war ends, one thing he was very strong about, if it ends, he wants it to end. And that's President Putin said that.
Yeah, he's not talking about Zelensky. He doesn't give a shit. If he wants it to end, he wants it to end. Not end, but end. Oh, really? He wants it to end it in a way that ends it, as opposed to just ending it?
He wants it to end. He doesn't want to end it and then go back to fighting 6 months later. Well, shit. Well, that's a relief. Well, we'll just, I guess, I don't know, compare it to his behavior everywhere else, where that's the opposite of what he always fucking does, but exactly what he always fucking says. I guess we'll let it slide. Yeah? We talked about the possibility, I mentioned it, of a ceasefire so we can stop the killing, and I think we'll... Trying to seize the whole ceasefire now thing, and... probably end up at some point getting a ceasefire in the not too distant future.
in the not too distant future, right after your health care plan comes out.
Do you expect
Ukraine as an
Do you expect Ukraine?
Say it, what?
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
We will continue to
What a fucked up answer. No, it's their goddamn country, dummy. Why did they have to make peace? Why did they have to? More Russians are getting killed, and they're the ones who attacked.
Said that was not a good war to go into. And
Into? They didn't go into it, motherfucker. It came into them. Maybe, maybe there's a problem having an asshole like this discuss peace plans where a country aggressively attacked another country and the other country didn't do anything to start it. Maybe the worst person to kind of negotiate an end to that circumstance is somebody who has a history of sexual assault. Yeah? You know what I mean? Somebody that has a difficulty understanding boundaries and consent maybe should shut the fuck up about the boundaries of another country and the lack of consent in a Russian invasion. Russia, get the fuck out.
And I think they have to make peace. That's what I think.
Also, make peace. I mean, he's fucking turned into Chamberlain from fucking Dark Crystal. Make peace. Chamberlain. Skeksis want to make peace. Make peace. Yeah.
decide to provide support to Ukraine.
Would you support Zelensky ceding territory or exchanging territory in any agreement to end the war?
Well, he's going to have to do what he has to do, but, his poll numbers aren't particularly great, to put it mildly. He's got a country where, it's been savaged and
By the way, his poll numbers just went up because of this shit.
attacked, and he's got an army that's been very, very brave, actually, despite the fact that, we've given him, in my opinion, $350 billion.
Okay, what do you mean, in your opinion? You're the president of the United States. You don't have the fucking number on your desk, dummy?
That's what the real number is. You don't hear that number.
Because it's just your opinion?
And Europe has given, in my opinion, $100 billion.
Again, why would you say your opinion? Isn't that weird? Does anybody else struck by that? That's just fucking stupid? It's a number. I don't give a fuck how you feel about a number. Is it the real number or isn't it?
And they've done it in the form of a loan. And I have a Secretary of Treasury right now who's actually quite brave. He's over in Ukraine on a train. And
he's on a train in Ukraine where the rain mainly falls?
There's a lot of things happening around that train that aren't so good.
What, the scenery's just not that great, or?
And he's going there to get a document done where we're going to be assured that we're going to, in some form, get this money back, because we're putting up far more money than Europe, and Europe is in far more danger than we are. We have an ocean in between. Europe has nothing in between. You know what they have in between? They have Ukraine in between. So
this is all. I mean, this is the same argument for why, like, we should have stayed out of World War II. This is a Jew problem, not ours. It's the same fucking shit. It's the same stretch of land.
So wait a minute. So as you know, Europe is putting up money, and they're getting it in the form of a loan. And the United States under Biden didn't do loans. They just handed money every time somebody walked in from Ukraine. They just had
gibberish. I mean, again, the largest portion of this is lend-lease anyways. And the money gets spent here. They didn't fucking bring pallets of fucking cash over there, dummy. Ask the red states.
Handed them money foolishly. This should have never happened. It should have never started. And once it did, other things should have happened. Other things.
Like what? Other things should have happened? What? What? They should have given you a whoopee and let you take a nap? What other things?
Should have taken place. So,
Name one of those things. What are one of those? What's one of the other things that should happen? Just and I agree. In most circumstances, when things happened, when things occur in life, there are other things that happen because of those things. And some of them aren't the optimal things that could have happened when that thing happened. As far as other things that could have happened, they weren't the best thing that could have happened otherwise, but they are sometimes, better than nothing, but maybe better than optimal or something like that. So maybe, just maybe, name one fucking thing. Otherwise, what is this? Gibberish.
We're getting security on our money. We're going to have it secured by, they have rare earth and they have.
They do. Yeah. I mean, when you're right, you're right. They have rare earth. Rare earth.
We're going to have it secured by, they have rare earth and they have.
That's the best kind. Do they have the with the caramel swirls and the sprinkles? They have the. They have what do they call it? I don't want to. Don't stop me if I'm getting too technical. They have.
Have oil and gas, and they have a lot of.
No kidding.
Of other things, and we're asking.
And other things, yeah, of course, have other things. They have earth, and they have oil, and then they have other things. I suppose they'd have to, wouldn't they?
For security on our money.
So does it mean you
How
are
long does
not
Zelensky
sending
have?
any more
They've agreed to
aid
it.
Ukraine?
Ukraine has agreed to it.
Does it mean you are not sending any more aid to Ukraine?
No, we are, but we want it secured, and the money is going to be secured.
When would the U.S. stop sending funding? When would the U.S. stop sending funding?
Because if we didn't do that, then Putin would say he won. We're the thing that's holding it back. And frankly, we'll go as long as we have to go because we're not going to let the other happen. But
Yeah, that's clear, right? That made sense, right? The other happen, meaning Russia win and take the land that you want to be able to pillage. Minerals.
President Putin wants to have peace now, and
Because you know how I know? He said so. He said it. He said, well, his translator said it. I don't speak Russian. But yeah, he said, I want peace. And I was like, finally. What does that look like? All of Ukraine. That doesn't sound very peaceful.
that's good. And he didn't want to have peace with Biden.
Why? He didn't want to have peace with Biden. He just wants to have peace now. Maybe because under Biden he was getting his ass kicked, and you'll give him a break and he can reload.
Was that conversation with Putin?
And you tell me why that is.
I'll tell you. What's the phone number?
Okay.
Was that conversation with Putin to start these negotiations part of the deal to bring Fogel home?
No, but it was a nice thing that he allowed.
It was like a chocolate on my pillow. And I don't think that was a chocolate. Sorry.
Mark Fogel to leave.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
In fact, Mark wasn't feeling well, but he was all of a sudden about 2 weeks ago. He started being treated very nicely. He said they took him out for haircuts. They took him out. They helped him out a little bit, and
Why? Because he was looking a little shaggy around the ears. It left the top full, but took in the sides on him a couple of weeks ago. You mean when you were first making phone calls and they were like, oh, I think this dipshit's going to give us our cyber criminal for this guy. Yeah, we get a middle school. They get a middle school teacher, and we get a cyber criminal. Get up off your thing. We're taking you for a haircut. Get the fuck? Last time you guys took me for a haircut, I ended up with a black eye. No, real this time. Seriously, real haircut this time. Just don't worry about it.
made him feel better, made him look better.
Just so dumb.
And they were nice to him, and he said,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get the extra scoop ice cream.
I saw something happening.
Did you? You really did? Hold on. Somebody, wait, am I getting requests for this? Hold on. I don't even know what this will This will work, whatever. Yeah, buddy, get up. Yeah, don't worry about it. My buddy Apple Pie in baseball be here in just a couple minutes, but you're gonna be okay. We're gonna get you a haircut, get you on plane, and don't worry. I'm not the regular Russian. I'll meal of America. Lots of, okay? So, yeah, don't, you made you flinch. You tried to run away. Is this asshole still in his fucking cot? I'm going to get him. I'll get him up. Don't worry. He's a little after last time. He's a little nervous. He does not trust that we are truly America-loving Americans. We'll hit him with something. Use stick. Use bat. You have baseball bat. Use bat. Stop using on me. Start using on him. If we use bat, he will not get up at all. Remember that last guy I hit with bat didn't get up for weeks. And when he did, he was all loopy and shit. I remember. Good point. Okay, sorry. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll wait outside. You bring guy out, and I'll get haircut guy ready. Okay. Get up, Mr. Buddy. Gonna take you for a haircut. And scene.
And it coincided with when I came into office.
Yeah, we were so busy celebrating you getting job, we almost forgot to give guy a fucking haircut, man. What the fuck? You talking about even here, okay?
So that was nice, and he's a fine person. He was so happy to be out. He was there for 3.5 years plus, and he shouldn't have been there at all. He should.
I agree. Did you tell that to Putin when you talked to him? Go, hey, what the fuck are you grabbing our fucking middle school teachers for, you asshole?
They should have had him out much faster than that.
What does make you believe that Zelensky will agree?
Wait, go ahead, please.
Sir, just to be clear, do you see any future in which Ukraine returns to its pre-2014 borders?
Well, I think Pete said today that that's unlikely, right? It certainly would seem to be unlikely. They took a lot of land, and they fought for that land, and they lost a lot of soldiers. But it would just seem to me, and I'm not making an opinion on it, but I've read a lot.
Yeah, you are.
On it, and
no, you have not. No, you have not. Fuck you. You have not read a lot on it. You haven't read anything about it. Zero. You haven't even read the intel they fucking give you. Read a lot about it. Shut up.
A lot of people think that that's unlikely. Some of it will come back. I think some of it will come back. Yeah, some of that land will come back.
What do you mean, Kursk? Some of it will go back to the the pre-2014 borders. What's that? The Kursk region. We'll make them get the fuck out. Maybe not. You want to stop where it is? That means the Ukrainians get to keep Kursk. I think, right? Hey, they fought for it. They lost a lot of lives.
Ultimately, these are both Russian.
Who are you
By the way, he's getting over it. He didn't like the question because it was too complicated.
with?
Sorry, me.
Yeah.
AFP.
You who?
AFP.
Agence France Presse. France Presse. Hold on. Do I have a... I was about to look for a mustache, but I already have one. I don't even know if this will work. No, it just makes my regular mustache darker. That's funny. I'm from Agence France Presse. No. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to come up with a different... I need somebody with a beret. That's the only way I'll be able to do it.
Agence France Presse.
I don't know what that means. Honestly, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. None. 0 cents. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Okay, what's that? Something French? I don't know.
I just wanted to ask you, the things that the Secretary of Defense was talking about, the 2014 borders and the lack of NATO membership. Ultimately, these are both demands that Russia has made in the past. Is there not a danger of handing Russia a kind of win on this?
Well, I think that if you look at the war, the way the war is going, you'll have to make your own determination.
No, we don't. You're the president of the United States, dummy. You have policy directive over this stuff. They don't, it's not about whether he feels one way or another, because how he feels about it isn't going to fucking do anything. How you feel about it and your opinion about it is going to change policy. So shut the fuck up, stop being a fucking pussy, and answer the goddamn question, you weak, flatulent piece of shit. Oh my God. Stop being a fucking baby. Answer the goddamn question. I don't know. Depends on how you feel about it. What's your opinion about it, Mr. Smarty Pants? Fuck you, dude. If you're president. Act like it.
I'm just here to try and get peace. I don't care so much about
how it happens, so it's not going to happen.
Anything other than I want to stop having millions of people killed.
Yes, I understand how war works. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, how are you going to guarantee that they won't do it again? If you just give them basically a win? What's the punishment? What if Russia just decides, oh, wait 3 more years, wait till this doughhead's out of office, and we'll just try again?
Last night, Kiev got hit very, very hard.
Right, in a sign, they gave you an American back in exchange for a crypto criminal who traffics in fentanyl and has killed Americans, and you were like, cool, whatever. And then they hit Kiev, and you're like, well, shit happens. It's a war. I don't know. People are dying. I don't know.
I want to see people stop getting killed. That war is ridiculous. It's just...
This war is ridiculous. This is, frankly, war. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? This is fucking ridiculous. Say it again. This war is ridiculous. Honestly, look at this mess. Ridiculous. It's silly is what it is. It's, honestly, it's shameful. This whole war is shameful and ridiculous, and the whole thing is petty. Easy on the alpha language there, buddy. Some of us are too beta to take it.
It would have never happened, and it would have never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we hear that again. Whatever yeah. Sorry, boo fuckity who. If you're president, suck it up. It's your responsibility, dipshit.
A couple of more questions.
Are you planning?
Ooh, couple more questions.
Are you planning to sign an executive order of reciprocal tariffs, sir?
Yes, I am. In fact, I may.
In fact, they have a big stack of things for me to sign today. It's basically what I do now. My job is basically signing shit and sitting quietly while Elon talks. That's pretty much the gig. I don't get to golf as much. I really think they're planning on killing me, quite frankly, if I want to be honest. They see like, wow, you guys really want me to sign this, all this stuff by next Wednesday? What's next Wednesday? Just keep signing? Okay. You sure there's not, it seems like there's a deadline. And it sounds like why when you say deadline, do you keep hitting the word dead really? And then snickering at that guy. And why is Tulsi grinning? What? Honestly, why am I signing all this shit so that what? And then what happens when, oh, wait a minute. If I sign this last one, you know what? I'm going to go golf before I sign the last one in the stack. Is that okay? No, I think, Mr. President, I think, Mr. President, what you'd want to do is take care of this work before you go away for the weekend. Otherwise, sorry. Otherwise, you'll have the work on your mind while you're golfing, and that's a distraction.
I do it today, and if I do it today, I could almost do it right now. Would you like me to talk about it now? I don't want to take anything away from this young lady's day, because this is her day.
It's her day. She's the queen of tomorrow.
And I may do it later on, or I may do it tomorrow morning. But
I love to do it. I just did it, and I'll do it again. You do it. You know you'd love to do it.
We'll be signing reciprocal tariffs.
It's easier to say that, than sign, I suppose.
The world has taken advantage of the United States for many years. They've charged.
I know. I feel violated.
Just massive tariffs that we haven't charged them. And as you know,
that's largely because our economy dwarfs theirs. Like, it's enormous. It's just stupid.
I just did something on steel and aluminum. 25%. That'll go up at some point, but 25%, which will level the playing field quite a bit.
How long before we find out there's some exemptions for, like, I don't know, hotels and large buildings?
I did it previously 50%, and Obama was very weak, and Biden
Oh, see, he almost said Obama got rid of it.
was even weaker on steel. The steel was just absolutely, it really started with Obama. The world really took
He's covering for the fact that he's like, I left office and Obama took away my
advantage of us, and then that morphed into Biden.
Did it morph into Biden? Yeah, it's kind of a Power Rangers aspect of that administration, I think.
And what they did was he was so worried about trying to attack his political opponent that he didn't know what he was doing with respect to countries taking advantage. He should have looked at the countries, both friend and foe.
Mostly foe, I think. I think you would start with foe and work your way back.
Taking advantage of us. So we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, which is whatever they charge, we charge, very simply. But we're going to be...
Considering exemption, talk about widespread fraud and abuse.
Oh, yeah,
When will Attorney
tremendous fraud. There's tremendous...
So much fraud. Everybody else calls me a fraud, but they're the fraud. The reason I fixate on the word fraud, and I say fraud because that's the fraud. I'm not the fraud. I got found guilty of fraud, but they're the real fraud. So I'm trying to take the word fraud and basically water it down so it doesn't really mean anything anymore, so people don't focus on the fact that I'm a fraud.
Tremendous fraud. And it's hard to believe that you can have that kind of fraud.
The best kind of fraud.
You're talking about, like...
Fraud? Talking in general, fraud? Yeah. Tell what the actual thing is. That, like, a great example of fraud would be...
Are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity?
No, they would be bringing up the general idea of fraud, and you're the one that's supposed to have the specifics, dum-dum.
What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you
the same shit we've heard for the last 2 weeks that everybody's known about for years, and it's not fraud or waste. It's just a difference of opinion about policy expenditures, and you just don't like what's being spent, and you disagree with it morally or politically, and so you would cut it in any normal administration. Somebody else would cut it, and you just want to make a big deal that it was being ripped off or stolen, or it's you want to call it fraud instead of just going, oh, this is just normal government shit. This is basically rebranding. That's all this is. Just fucking rebranding shit you don't like. And, bureaucrats are now the deep state and are now the bureaucrats again because Elon Musk didn't get the fucking memo. And, spending you don't like with different priorities is fraud now.
some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented.
What? You'll have to leave as a reporter? Sorry, leave the space, leave my newspaper, move to Substack? What do you mean leave? Or do you just, you're just turning into Biff Tannen. That's what this is, right? Make like a tree and leave? Is that, you're just trying to figure out, you can't remember that joke, so you have to leave as a reporter who covers trees. Yeah.
When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars.
Billions and billions. Yes, we have a $7 trillion budget. So better be more than billions and billions, buddy.
It's being thrown away illegally. And there's no.
So it should be spent where it's being spent. You just think it's not getting where it's supposed to go?
There's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our Attorney General. There's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on.
Yeah, there is.
When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form.
Yeah, that was a terrible. I don't know if you guys know that case where the case of the guy. I think it's a guy. It might be a girl. I mean, it's all the details are kind of hazy, but the person who came and stood for and looked at something, and they got millions of dollars from the government for looking at it, and then they left, and they still got the millions of dollars after they did after the looking was over. Remember that? Terrible, terrible. He's going to give that person's name tomorrow, and boy, are they in big trouble. There's a guy who was paid a bunch of money to just come and look at something. And then he just took the money, and his name is Donald J. You know what the important thing is that there's waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what we've got to stop here. Ladies and gentlemen.
And that's only one form of corruption.
Yes, it is. The guy, that form of the great tradition of guy paid to look at something who gets millions of dollars and then leaves after he's done looking. USAID had a huge voyeur program where they would have they were paying peeping toms in Uganda.
The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking
he said doo-doo, sorry.
Massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of
on items. You itemized
200 expenditures that were made. And I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3. And
of the 200 that Elon pulled. And they look like they're reasonable. Are they reasonable? Did you look beyond just what the title of them? You just anything on there that said DEI, you were like, fuck that.
And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of
Great. Very exciting. I will cover that tomorrow. How about that, asshole? I can't wait. As a matter of fact, it might be a special report from Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I might have to watch you do it live, take some notes, and go hunt down the stuff on the list myself so that I can maybe run a parallel story to what you're doing. How's that sound? Shit, I might have to buy build a whole new screen, move this over, and right here I can have all the details of the news article. So that's starting to give me some ideas. See, growth can come from anywhere. Oftentimes, growth occurs when it's surrounded by fertilizer. So thank you, sir, for being the shit we all need to grow. Sometimes, we appreciate the sunlight, but that's easy. Many of us, we don't appreciate the absolute manure coming out of your dopey fucking head that in some ways puts us in a position where we can grow. I feel like I've grown myself in just these last few moments. "200 things," you say. Okay.
And I want to commend Elon because he's done he doesn't need this. He's abused by you people every day.
Aw, really? Is he okay? He is. He's abused by you people every day. Why? Because they keep asking him why the Cybertruck is worse than the Pinto as far as safety. Why all of his companies require federal grants or loans or support to exist or to be profitable. And the ones that don't, like Twitter, fail.
He's found more things than anybody could find. I think
He found more things than anybody could find. So that's what we call making shit up. If you find more things than anyone could find, then I think you're making shit up. That's how you would do it. You got a file cabinet with 10 files in it, and you find 13. I'm going to guess you walked into the building with 3. That's right?
The credibility to do it. I know he does.
Do you? Would you frisk him when he came into the office? Do you know how any of his tech works?
And it's his group of people. They started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses.
Dude, you missed your calling. You should do band names. Is that what you call them? Hey, here come the 12 geniuses. And they all go, great one. Well done. It just rolls off the tongue. It was 12 geniuses. I would have called them the dozen DOGE bags. Right?
They started off with 12 and they went to 20 and 25 and now they're up to almost 100.
cool. And we're not allowed to know their names or what they're doing. For real. Where is the whole like free speech, transparent? That was all bullshit, Joel.
People are joining to help them.
Oh, yeah. He'll let anybody in.
Because there's a massive fraud that's taken place.
But it sounds like you're pronouncing somebody guilty before you've actually found any evidence. You've made up your mind about what you're going to find, so they get to work back from what you want to find. What happens when there's not massive fraud? What if it's just run-of-the-mill fraud or some stuff that, say, the House Oversight Committee should have gotten years ago, and during Biden, they were too busy chasing down Hunter to look into this shit? Because Comer ran the Oversight Committee, so why the fuck wouldn't this be on his fucking lap? The DOGE Committee is a subcommittee of the Oversight Committee. This is their fucking job. Right? Am I like, shouldn't they, the complaint shouldn't be, why didn't Biden do this? Fuck that. Why didn't Comer? Why was Comer wasting his fucking time going after Hunter Biden, who is not an elected official, and Joe Biden, who met with Hunter Biden's business partners in the one window of time of about 8 months where he wasn't in office and wasn't running, where he was just retired. He was not going to run again. That was the only time. That's what now we've seen all the evidence. He met with them and he had dinner with these people and they came in. Yes. And he wasn't in office and he wasn't running again. Fuck off. So Comer should have been doing this. I think that's the question. Okay. So everybody, if you're going to call somebody's office in the Oversight Committee, you need to call Comer's office and go, why isn't he doing the DOGE job? Why do they even need Elon Musk to do this? Shouldn't he have already done it? Why do we need a bunch of fucking 20-something incels running around the fucking treasury looking in everybody's pockets, right? When Comer runs the committee that should have been doing this all along.
And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example.
This is a terrible example. Let me guess. It's going to be they're writing a check to bad people that shouldn't be written in the first place, and the judge is saying you have to send the check. Instead of saying what the judge is saying, which is these people have no right to have access to the private information of the American public. They're not sworn in and they're not government employees. And the DOGE is not a real department, and they can look at stuff that you can give them access to. They can sit in the fucking Oval Office with you, but they don't get to go into these other departments and push the employees and elected representatives out while they do it. They can't go in there privately.
$59 million going to a little small group in New York City.
Oh, he means the building. It's the hotel, allegedly, the $59 million that paid for hotel stays as they rotated people through this building that was basically empty post-COVID. It was empty. It actually kept the fucking hotel afloat, because before people started coming back to New York about 2 years ago, a lot of hotels and shit were in danger of going under. So one of the reasons why these immigrants started being housed in these hotels was to help the hotels stay afloat. It was a way of subsidizing the hotels and solving another problem at the same time. But in a lot of cases, the hotels didn't want to transition back to being a regular hotel. Why would they?
You get nothing going to North Carolina to help.
They got billions of dollars. They got FEMA. They got support. Nothing. At least say pittance or something. At least say less than they should and blah, blah, blah.
Nothing. They say we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border.
The border of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street?
But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then
I thought they didn't do anything to North Carolina. They just left them alone, or right? They didn't give them anything. That's not doing something. That's doing nothing.
They sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel, for a little a little bit of what they've done.
That makes sense. I don't have to rewind that, right? You guys got it, right? For a little bit of what they've done. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whew. A hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for
now it's a pissing contest as he wanted them in his hotel.
Migrants, where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money.
Yeah, it's not a fraud. You just disagree with the policy.
I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out, but they want the money to go anyway.
Because it was a contract and you just disagree with it. Just like treaties, the U.S. contracts wouldn't be worth a shit if somebody could just come in and zero all of them no matter what. Elections have consequences, including the last one. Move on.
I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam.
Yeah, Pam, you're going to be real fucking busy. Go, Pam, go.
I really do. What's going on?
Yeah, you should go door to door in that hotel and go, oh, yeah, okay. All right, they were mitigating the cost of this versus that, and okay.
Going on with this whole thing. And this is just one group.
Yeah, it's not impressive. You're gonna need about 1,000 more of those before it even impacts the budget.
We haven't talked
1,000. You're gonna need 1,000 more situations like that before it even charts. And again, this is just a matter of opinion between you and the last administration. It's not fraud. They're not cooking the books. It's not a kickback or any of that shit. I mean, he might think that because he's from New York and that's how he works.
Talked about Department of Education. We haven't talked about the military. We haven't talked about a lot of things that are very big. And
well, then do it. What are you waiting for, fuckwad? Let me guess. Blue states put more into the Department of Education funding than they get out. Red states get more than they put in. Who's the drag? Who's costing the taxpayers and who is paying more than their fair share in the Department of Education? Who?
And what's happened is
also in the military. Red states have the ammo factories, a lot of the military bases. All that money goes to those places. You start cutting that shit. You're not going to cut stuff in New York or along the eastern seaboard or along the West Coast, right? You're not going to cut stuff around the Gulf, maybe. But all these like ammo factories in fucking Oklahoma and Arkansas and like the military bases in fucking, like the NORAD 2, the Reckoning that's in Montana and all that shit. You want to start cutting shit? You want to start cutting funds? Those are the states you're going to cut it from.
As an example, you'll have cases where,
oh boy,
you have a 3-month contract.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the guy that signs the contract leaves. Maybe he gets rich. All of a sudden he leaves for that reason. But you have
huh? Oh, I guess who signed the contract? The president or the Congress people? I guess it would have to be a president. So I guess he's going to say this is Obama or Clinton or Bush or somebody like that. Maybe. So the president signs a contract with somebody micromanaged within this thing. All right. Maybe he leaves. Did he?
3-month contract, and maybe he leaves. So the contract is sitting there, and the people signing the checks don't know it's 3 months, and it goes on for years.
That's because they kept getting the service and kept using it. The contract was for an initial trial. This sounds like somebody who doesn't understand the terms of service on a newspaper subscription. It said on my cable bill that the first 3 months were $9 a month. And then all of a sudden, years later, I still have cable, but I look at the bill and I'm paying $40 a month. What the fuck? That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. 3-month trial period. If you like it, you keep doing it. Hal and Jon Stewart would make a good comedy team. No, sorry. Fuck John. I knew John when I did Talk Soup, and I am no longer a fan. Nope. Sorry. Nope. In serious, he has become what he hated about Crossfire.
The 3 months turns out to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, just goes on forever.
Right, because you keep paying, you keep getting the service, and you don't need a contract because the contract was for the trial period, and then that becomes the vendor of choice, and they pay for it because they're still getting the service, not because they did it for 3 months and they stopped doing the thing. And again, if they did, wouldn't this be real fucking easy? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, wouldn't this be easy to dunk on this motherfucker? Name and shame. Right? Go for it. Go, there was a contract for this. It was a vendor who did, and this is just an example. It's a vendor for fucking stuff that we sell at the White House gift shop. And we signed a 3-month contract with this, and he delivered these things, and we decided we weren't going to use it anymore, and the checks kept flowing because somebody forgot to turn it off. And for years, we never got these items, and they were always out of stock, and nobody asked a question, and we kept paying this guy, and none of the stock ever showed up, and nobody checked, right? That would be an example. Fucking do it. Right? Do it. Well, if that's the case, if it's major fraud like this, and you know it, and you're like, this was 3-month contract, and they just kept paying it, I'm dead serious. Name and shame this motherfucker. Let's hear it. Because I'm going to guess it happened during Bush and Republicans signed off on it, or it happened under your administration and you signed off on it. And in reality, it's just a rolling payment system because they signed off on, they're getting whatever the service is, and it's on a rotating contract basis. And the basis of the contract, at the end of it, if you read the fucking contract, it says, if at the end of this thing, if you don't give notification of 30 days that we're going to stop doing this, we will just assume that this contract extends into the next quarter. And on a quarterly basis, there will be a review by the Congress and oversight so that we will consider this re-upped. And if at any time you want to cancel the service, you will just let us know. And by the end of the next cycle, it will end. Why would you want to micromanage all this shit anyways? Set a fucking reminder. In 3 months, if we don't cancel this contract, it goes, okay, cool. Well, we'll make sure everybody sets a fucking reminder in the Slack. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear the fucking dude's name. I want to know what the contract was for, because I bet you anything, there's an easy explanation, or it's for a fucking pittance, or it's a story from the fucking 70s.
And the guy on the other side of the contract just keeps getting check after check after check.
For what? What was the contract for? Asshole, you're telling the story. What was it? You don't even have to say, fuck me. You don't even have just any detail at all. Think of all the myriad of things that the government does. Fucking landscaping, tires, wiring. He's the guy who is hired to contract to spool all the cable in the fucking telecommunication system at the Pentagon. He comes through with a fucking spooler anytime they swap out the wires, and he just grinds up the new fucking, all right, we're Cat 6 now, whatever the fuck. What is it? What is it? Why would that be hard? And hopefully tomorrow he'll say, please, for fuck's sake. And if he doesn't, I'm just going to warn you. I'm going to be fucking livid. I'm going to be such an asshole tomorrow. And you're like, Hal, too late. I get it. But I'm telling you, just it's at some point just gonna have to hold on. Do I have here you go. So one when you got the glow, you need the glow, the glow to grow. When you love to live, you live to love, you got to move to the upper level. I am the master. All right. It's because try it. Please, if you would, ladies and gentlemen, share this show far and fucking wide. I mean, I give great episode, let me tell you. But tonight, I feel like there was a certain level of magic. And I think it's because of you guys. I think it's because of you. And I also think it's because of the maggots and trolls in the audience. A good portion of them on Facebook is adorable. These are our homebound trolls and maggots, and I appreciate you. I understand your sciatica is kicking your ass, almost literally, and you're miserable and nobody calls you anymore. And I recognize that it's your fault, but at least I can keep you company during the waning years of your life while you drive away everyone that used to be a friend or a family member. And then, of course, the rest of them who are, younger and have me on a monitor of 5 while they play League of Legends. I want to thank you guys for at least boosting my numbers. And then, of course, every time you guys write something in the chat, I can't tell you how happy it makes me. Because the algorithm doesn't care what you say. The algorithm just goes, oh, fuck. Not only do they watch this guy, but he's engaging. Draws them in. He pulls them to their keyboard. Hey, this isn't AFK world, man. These people are drawn in. He's like a magnet, this dude. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being stupid and weak-willed and regretful that you voted for this dipshit and trying to maybe claw your way out of it, because I know you watch other shows and you just hate watch them. But me, you're like, I don't know. I like this guy. And even though he fucks with me, it's because he has respect for me on some level. Because I got to tell you, I don't insult anybody who can't get better. I don't insult anybody who can't improve themselves, except maybe him. But that's a power thing. That's punching up because he's president of the United States, so he should be able to take it, even though he's a wheezing old flatulent nunt. But if I'm calling you out or calling you names or arguing with you, that is me pointing out that I consider you an equal on some level. I mean, who would argue with somebody who's mentally challenged and expect them to be smarter? You wouldn't do it. It would be rude. It would be stupid. Right? So the fact that I'm insulting you, consider it a compliment. That's what I'm saying. You're welcome. Okay? Okay. All right. What's the end of this shit?
Because Elon had an expression yesterday, because nobody cares.
Was he wearing it? Is that what it said on his T-shirt? Because nobody cares.
It's a great expression. Nobody cares. The guy that signed the contract didn't care. Maybe there, may not be there. Maybe crooked. Who knows? But
well, I would argue, asshole, real quick. If you're crooked, you care. It takes a lot of caring to actually be a crook. You got to work it out. You got to hire lawyers and fixers, people like Michael Cohen to cover for shit. You care. It requires attention. It's not a laissez-faire crime. And if nobody cares, then it isn't fraud. It might be waste, and but it's not abuse. And waste is the one word you can't fucking. It's a waste when people go, oh fuck, are we still paying that bill? Right? That would be a waste. Oh, we wasted all that money because nobody was paying attention. But waste isn't sexy. Fraud and abuse sounds all like, I'm a detective. No, you're not. You're a fucking pencil pusher, and Musk is walking around with a fucking clipboard like some efficiency expert in an 80s office movie.
you have to care. Otherwise, you can't really run a thing like that, or you can't run it.
Genius. Yeah. You do, ladies and gentlemen. This should be in his book of quotes. You have to care. Otherwise, you shouldn't be running a thing like that. You know my motto, care enough not to give a shit.
The country, really, because there's so many transactions, thousands and thousands of transactions.
Right. That's exactly why pointing out even 200 of them is fucking weak.
And if you don't have people that care.
You mean in the oversight committee, like James Comer doesn't give a fuck? You mean like him wasting everybody's time going after Hunter Biden when nobody cares? You know, like Marjorie Taylor Greene showing his fucking dick in the Congress, right? Meanwhile, all these contracts were still happening And the oversight committee was like, what contracts?
You're going to lose control. And that's what's happened.
To your bowels?
And we've caught it.
Syphilis?
Now, what we...
Yeah, I think he caught it a long time ago, actually. But what is this, a new case? Are you doubling up on syphilis? Hold on. Where is it? This one? So, there we go.
I feel no shame, only pride, because my syphilis is a badge of honor.
Great.
It is billions and billions of dollars, but it's
for the whole program, and you just don't like some of the stuff in it.
a tiny fraction of the real number, because you can never catch the real number because people have gotten away with tremendous.
Why not? What do you mean you can't get away with a real number? Why not? Did you get the service or didn't you? Did you pay for the service or didn't you? The check went out, right? Go fucking knock on doors. What are you talking? Wait a minute. What? You can, what do you mean you can never, all right. This is him covering his ass. Some of this stuff, I'm just going to tell people it's fraud because honestly, nobody even knows. I don't even know. And if we tell anybody, if we show the books, everybody's going to go, oh, that's actually a thing. We have that in my business. We use that in our office. We have to do that.
The real number, because you can never catch the real number because people have gotten away with tremendous amounts of money. But,
well, it had to go out the door. And I'm assuming the check had a date on it. Maybe even a name, an address. What are you talking about?
I said we have to make our government smaller, more efficient, more effective, and a lot less expensive. And
yeah, every Republican says that. Nobody gives a fuck that you say that. It's how. And kneecapping the whole thing is not an effective way of doing that.
we could find $1 trillion, but we're...
Nah, I don't think he can. And by the way, he wants to find $1 trillion because he wants to extend his tax cut. That's all this is about. He just wants to give himself and his billionaire buddies a big tax cut. And the Republicans in the House are not going to let him unless he finds the cuts. It's like the dumbest. It's like Dave meets Idiocracy. That's what we're doing right now. Remember when Dave brings in, his buddy's an accountant, Charles Grodin, and he comes in and looks at the books and he's like, if I was a businessman, I would go my company would go under if I did my books like this. Remember that? Everybody had that fantasy about it. That's what Trump's doing. Everybody used to talk about this shit back in the fucking 90s, early 2000s. This is not new.
Being hindered by courts.
Oh, fucking Constitution again, man.
Where they file in certain courts where it's very hard to win.
Because you have to have facts and you got to show up and then you got to act like you know what you're doing, which gives me a cramp.
And a judge will stop us and a judge will say that it doesn't make any difference what you find. You just keep paying the money. That's a hell of a way to be.
Well, I mean, you could also get Congress to pass a budget addendum that gets rid of the payment because they have the purse strings. You have to keep paying it because you're the administration. You administer it. They've written the checks already, motherfucker. Go to the House. You have the House and the Senate. You have the House and the Senate. Go to them right now and go, hey, before we get even the budget done, give me a couple of bills that say, here's a list of these things. And I'm giving this motherfucker an idea, but I hope they run with it. Here's a good idea, dipshit. Take your list of 200 things tomorrow and don't talk about it here. Go down to the House and stand there with Speaker Johnson and go, I'm presenting you with a list. All of these things shouldn't be still paid out, and we disagree with them. We want you to go through them, and by Monday, bring a bill to the floor that just cuts the payments on these things so we can send it over to the Treasury and end this shit because it's unnecessary. How, right? That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And you wouldn't have to worry about a judge anywhere. And the judge would go, yeah, that's how it works. Okay, knock yourself out. You could absolutely cut the fucking payment that way. Way quicker than fighting it in the fucking courts. But the problem is that this isn't really about cutting those payments. This isn't really about balancing the budget. This isn't even really about the tax cut. It's about the supreme administrative power of the administrative state. That he wants a monarchical power. So they're trying to push these limits everywhere they can. The fight is the reason Like, the reason they're doing this fight is so that they can establish more power for the administration. They don't want to share this power with the House.
And I follow the courts. I have to follow the law. All it means is that we appeal. But that gives people time to cover their tracks.
How? My mic is going in and out? Why is that? Oh, I think it restarted with the, 1 second. There might be. I'm going through so many things right now because I'm a maniac on the floor. Where are you, you silly little man? This guy right here. Okay, hopefully that'll do less of it. And, or maybe, I don't know. Does this help? Is it? I don't know if it makes it better or worse. It's very strange. Hopefully this will work out. Okay. I'm working on it. Okay.
And that's what they do. So it's a very bad thing that's taking
It is a very bad thing.
place.
Yes, and please, he's perfect. Stop the very bad thing.
But hopefully, if the courts, will be fair. They don't have to be very fair. They just have to be a little bit fair because
Yeah, that's all you want. A little bit fair.
this is so egregious what's taken place. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Yeah, they have. We've heard about this forever. The dude who spoke before the DOGE committee, was everything they brought up. He was like, "Yeah, I talked about that 6 years ago."
Nobody's seen numbers like this. These are massive numbers.
Yes, they have.
$9 million for somebody to go and stand in a store and see how people shop. Okay, I mean, you take a look at these.
Okay, so now that we're getting more specifics, it was a guy who stood there and looked at something, and now it's a $9 million to see how people shop. Yeah? And that was from USAID? Which store was it?
Things. It's a disgrace.
Well, explain it to us, because you gave more details and we're more confused.
And then you have a country that we want to make America great again. It's very hard to make America great again when you have things like this. And you're going to see this.
Why? Shouldn't we? I mean, we beat the fucking Nazis, asshole. We can't deal with overspending on consumer trends so that the Fed can get a good view of, how whether people are going to retail stores versus online in the middle of a pandemic or something.
Same thing. Department of Education is going to be a disaster.
Well, yeah, everything you're in charge of was going to be a disaster. It was working fine and you fucked it up.
The military. I mean, I see it. Look, I came in, they had a contract done, as you know, for $5.7 billion for airplanes. It was Air Force One.
Just airplanes in general.
With Boeing. 5.7. I got it down to $4 billion, little less than that, 1 penny less than that. $3,999,999.99. I said, has to have a 3 in front of it because I wouldn't sign the contract for $5.7 billion. I was able to cut $1.7 billion off the price. And it didn't take me long. $1.7 billion.
Yeah. And you know how you did that? You gave them a bigger contract for the military and they made up the difference. You expanded military payments and that was the trade-off. So you could talk about Air Force One as if it's a luxury airplane, and all the countermeasures and all the stuff and the importance of how it functions. So we have continuity of government and a nuclear war and all the shit that was built into it. You're like, it's really just like my plane, except it doesn't smell like Cheetos and feet, But the way he did it was, you cut this off there so I can say I made a deal with you guys, and under the table, we'll give you some other contracts in the military for more, other planes that you guys make. Or engines and shit like that. They made it up. Boeing didn't lose money on the deal.
If people would care, they'd be able to do that with every single contract that's put before them. And we wouldn't have deficits, would have nothing but a tremendously low-taxed, wonderful country.
I'm not sure, but I think what he's trying to, the word he was looking for was surplus, but he couldn't find it. So he went tremendously low taxed, beautiful country.
But they have to care. And speaking of that, you know, Boeing, we're not happy with the service we're getting in terms of those planes.
Well, you get what you paid for, motherfucker. I don't know what to tell you. You didn't buy that's how we cut the play. You're like, okay, we won't give you the extended service plan. Okay, tear that page out. No, you're not happy?
They would like to get more money.
Because it actually costs more than they told you?
We're not happy about that whole thing. We signed a very strong contract. I signed a guaranteed maximum contract, which they haven't seen in a long time. And they're saying they're getting hurt by it. But they have to produce the product, and we expect them to produce the product. They have
on the cheap, right? So basically, you want the government to undercut American companies and overpay foreign countries. Great.
They have to produce the product. They agreed to build planes at a certain price. They're not used to that. They're used to having time and material contracts where it's whatever it costs, time and material, no dates, no anything, and it ends up costing 5 times more. You look at some of the ships that have been built. Take a look at the Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier, the Ford. It was supposed to cost $3 billion. It ends up costing like $18 billion. And they make, of course, all electric catapults, which don't work.
Okay, we've been through this shit. I thought I was going to get through this shit without. U.S. Gerald Ford arrives home from maiden deployment after 3 extensions, January 17th, 2024. Aircraft carrier U.S. Gerald Ford pulled into Naval Station Norfolk on Wednesday after deployment to the Mediterranean that included 3 extensions. The Navy's newest in-service aircraft carrier left in May for a deployment that lasted more than 8 months. It was the first worldwide deployment for Ford, the lead ship in the Navy's new class of carriers. The reason it costs so much is because it's a prototype for the new carriers. Once they fix all the issues on it, they make other ones just like it, but they got to work them out. So it's an experimental craft in that regard. So that's how this worked out. Okay, total worked with 17 nations throughout its deployment during exercises in the Baltic operations, Air Defender, Bomb Task Force, Viking Trident, Neptune Strike, and Sage Wolverine, which sounds like a candle for that's in Deadpool. Navy said in a news release, the strike group operated with standing NATO maritime groups 1 and 2, conducted dual carrier operations with U.S. Dwight D. Eisenhower, and exercised with navies from France, Greece, Norway, Turkey, and the United Kingdom. Carrier originally deployed with Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser USS Normandy. It's been out on the thing. The only problem it has that I know of is its radar system. So it has a dual band radar system. Where is it? Let's see if we can find. One moment. Yeah, there was something. Hold on. There you go. Yeah, USS Gerald Ford was still struggling with its dual band radar prior to deployment, but not after. I guess it's fine. The dual band radar aboard the Navy aircraft, the ship's primary sensor system struggled to perform during a pre-deployment exercise and suffered failures as it grappled with the constant need for radar coverage. It remains unclear whether DBR's issues impact Ford's operation during its first full deployment, which began in May and was extended before ending in January 2024. But the Navy is now seeking to replace Ford's DBR entirely. It wasn't the fucking electric launch. That works fine now.
And they have all magnetic elevators to lift up 25 planes at a time, 20 planes at a time.
And this asshole's going to go like, electric shit gets wet.
And instead of using hydraulic, like on tractors that can handle anything from...
Yeah, that's what they should do. Just have tractors pull the airplanes up.
Hurricanes to lightning, to anything. They use magnets. It's a new theory. Magnets are going to lift the planes up, and it doesn't work.
It does work. It did work. They just went through an entire, like, they war games with like every NATO country. They do work. It works. It works. They might have had issues with it half a decade ago, and they were still working on it, but that ship has sailed, no pun intended.
And they had billions and billions of dollars of cost overruns. I met the architect. I said, have you designed a ship before? This is one of the biggest ships in the world. It's like landing at LaGuardia Airport. But you look at the kind of waste, fraud, and abuse.
I love that phrase.
That this country is going through, and we have to straighten it out. We have great people going into the military in terms of we need ships, we need a lot of things. So we have great people we have business people going in, but
business people in the business of military, in the military, I don't know, industry, getting together in a complex. Perhaps?
When you look at what's happened to our purchasing, the purchasing.
Yeah, when we purchase stuff, if things are purchased, like, do we get a receipt? I mean, do you check out that? The problem is we have a whole thing where there's a whole procurement process in the Navy, and he thinks they should just use the self-checkout line. Just take a giant battleship and go, cleat. How many bags did you use? None. Liar, liar, liar.
And when you look at the USAID, when you look at the things that
aren't related to the Navy at all and have nothing to do with the maglev systems on the USS Gerald Ford, yes,
they're giving to them, the billions of dollars that they're giving to, and it doesn't make sense. It is interesting that.
Is it though?
When you're looking for fraud, you look at items, hundreds of items, and you'll find one or two, maybe if you're lucky. Here's something where you look at it, and they're all fraudulent. You know, by just looking at the topic, they're all fraudulent.
DEI, that's what he means by looking at the topic. And the reason is he's talking about a list that Elon gave him. Again, a subset of payments that they showed him. He didn't go through the whole fucking books.
Except it's the opposite. You'll find one or two that's like a legitimate reason. So I just want to thank Elon for going through it. I want to thank all the people that are working with him. You know, we have a big group of people.
Yeah. What are their names? Anybody? Maybe they should be interviewed so that we know who they are. Since we have a representative democracy, maybe we should figure out who's representing us in these cuts.
I think the lowest IQ is about 160. That's very high.
Wait, the lowest guy on this thing has an IQ that's a third lower than mine?
I think you have a couple of 182s in there, but. Oh,
that's a shame. I mean, they can always call me.
They're doing a fantastic job. He doesn't need it, and they don't need it, but we're showing things, and it's going to be it's a big. People have no idea how important it is. Yeah.
Well, maybe they have no idea how important it is because you're shit at explaining it. Maybe because maybe they should know how important it is, but you're a fucking moron. Maybe you're the wrong guy for the job. Maybe this job is too important for somebody who has a mush mouth, idiotic view of the world.
How soon do you want the Department of Education to be closed?
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job. We're ranked, so they rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th.
And if you got rid of the red states, we'd be third.
But we're ranked number one in one department, costs per pupil. So we spend more per
Also, we have the biggest economy in the world, so we're already going to do that.
Pupil than any other country in the world.
Also, it's not the same. Like, I think Arizona spends about $8,000 per pupil, and New York and California spend like 22 to 25 per pupil.
But we're
and guess who has the better numbers?
We're ranked number 40. We've been between 38 and 40. The last time I looked, it was 38, and then I looked 2 days ago. It came out the new list. It came out at number 40. So we're ranked 40. Norway, Denmark, Sweden.
And he brings up China, which, again, bullshit
I hate
numbers.
to say it, China, as big as it is, it's ranked in the top 5. And that's a primary competitor. We're ranked number 40. So if we're ranked number 40, that means something's really wrong, right? And I say send it
Yes, the red states.
back to Iowa, to Idaho, to...
Sorry, where? Iowa, I got.
means something's really wrong, right? And I
Sure.
say send it back to Iowa, to Idaho, to...
Yeah, send it back to to Idaho. I think when it comes to education in this country, I think I figured out the problem. Fish stinks from the head.
Colorado, send it back to places that, and there are a lot of Indiana.
There are a lot of Indiana.
You have a great new governor. You have a great senator that Jim Banks just got elected. You got great people. I'll tell you what, Indiana is going to be fantastic. We probably have 35, maybe 37 states that will do as well as Denmark, Norway.
Yeah, the blue ones, the ones with money.
Finland, Sweden, they'll be just as good. Then you have
Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, basically your base.
Then you have the ones that we all know about. It'll be
Oh yeah? Which ones are those, asshole? The ones we all know about? Which ones are those?
the same story. But you know what? Even they will be good.
Nah, I don't think so.
Because you look at New York, you give it to Westchester County, you give it to Long Island, you give it to Nassau County, you give it to Suffolk County. Same thing you go out to, and you give it to upstate New York. So you'd have 4 or 5 sections. You give it to Manhattan.
What do you mean give it to? What are you giving? Block grants? What is he talking about? We're not going to do we're not going to, all we're going to do is write checks to the states. My IQ? Somewhere in the order of 206. It's a burden.
It's a little bit tougher for some reason. I don't know why it would be tougher, but it is. You give to California and you go to
I blush when I have to tell everybody. So you know.
areas outside of Los Angeles. And
How far outside? Closer to Idaho? What?
you might have 6 or 7 different subgroups.
Yeah, you might. But that would be up to the state, right, I guess?
But generally,
By the way, this is how the Department of Education works, you dipshit. It gives stuff out to the states, but it goes by sectors to make sure that everybody in the state kind of has an equal opportunity. It doesn't work, but it's not all the time, largely because Republicans are always trying to undercut it. And again, within the states, there's a different level of commitment to education, let's be honest. But the idea is that's what the fucking Department of Education gives you the power to do. As the administrative state, you can disperse that money. You can administer the funds that are given out for education via the Congress. If you just get rid of it, then you're just block granting. Then it goes to whatever states can use to argue for their own funds back. So the big states with a lot of money are going to go in, and part of their push from their representatives is going, well, if you're not going to have a Department of Education and we're not going to try to, even out the education standards across the country, we want all our fucking money back that we're giving into the education system so that we can spend it on our own students, dummy.
like if you go to Iowa, you give it to Iowa.
Well, that's why we're the party of common sense. Sure. Yeah, if you go into Iowa, you give it to Iowa. Yeah, I notice you're not bringing up any of the states that didn't vote for you. Jesus Christ.
You don't have subgroups. You have Iowa and other places that do.
Iowa is just there's so nothing to it. You can't even subgroup Iowa. I mean, can you really tell the difference between Des Moines and Davenport, honestly?
Good job. If they do a good job, they're going to do a great job in education. Those
Sure. If they do a good job, they're going to do a great job? I think actually they're just going to continue to do a good job and not a great job. If they do a great job, they'll do a great job. Shit.
Those places will be every bit as good as
they will be every good.
The various countries that do so well. All the time, it's the same countries that are doing well.
You mean the ones with national healthcare systems. You want to know what they spend on their students? And the reason you think they spend less is because they don't consider the food expenditure for school lunches to be part of that. It's just they assume it as a national budget, not just like, okay, this is part of our education spending. Same thing with healthcare. Maybe that's why. Also, in all those countries, they pay a fuck ton more taxes.
And so we have a Department of Education where people from Washington, D.C., who in many cases don't care about the kids out in the country.
Oh, yeah? They don't? As much as the people who would pocket the money sent by the Department of Education and not spend it on the children out in the country?
They don't care about the farms and the farmer's daughter and the father's.
You know, that whole story where the guy's car breaks down and the farmer's daughter and the guy comes up and he knocks on the door and he says, you can sleep with my daughter, you can sleep in the barn, and right.
Farmers' sons.
Well, yeah, whichever way you swing, it's okay. I mean, there are variations of that joke.
We have a massive bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. We have buildings that are all over the city.
Really? A city full of buildings? When did this happen?
Department of Education. I never said Department of Education's on all these buildings. By the way, nobody shows up to work because they're all working at home. You know, quote, working at home. They're not working at home. And a lot of them
Fuck you, you golfing piece of shit. You never worked a day in your life.
Have second jobs. And that's the other thing that Elon Musk is looking at. How many of these people are getting checks, working at home, but they're not working because they have second jobs? And even
oh, the old this is the side hustle excuse. Also, the rotation is that a bunch of these people work like half shifts with other people, and or they only do phone calls and that kind of stuff, so they can't afford to do the other stuff. It's not like we have a customer service problem with all these things where people are sitting at home and not answering the phone or whatever. It's just lame.
third jobs. You're going to find a lot of them. And
yeah, and I don't care. If they get the job done they're being paid for, what do I give a fuck? Why would I care? If they're paid to do a job, and that's the payment that they get for that job, and they do that job, why do I give a shit where they do it? And if it's saving us on rent because they don't go to a building and they can work from home digitally because it's the Department of Education and not the fucking Pentagon, who cares? It actually saves us money, dummy. And if they have a side hustle and they can do both, good on them. It just means we have employees that are better than their station in life. They're more capable. What are you worried that they real estate on the fucking weekends?
those people are going to be fired because we have to make our government smaller. All right.
Why? So they're going to be fired for doing two jobs effectively at once? Wouldn't you just fire the people who have one job and aren't doing it well? How about that? Like you.
One more.
You should quit. You could save us a lot of money. Just quit. Just go. We don't need a president and a vice president. Take over, dipshit. Elon will do what he's going to do. I'm not, don't pay me, and I don't want my Walter Reed benefits. I'll pay for my own health care. This is dumb. I'm leaving.
More question? Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Two questions, one on Ukraine again, and then another one on the Kennedy Center. Do you think that as far as your negotiating tactics go, did
Wait, you're assuming he has negotiating tactics? That's adorable.
Hegseth take away some of your negotiating abilities with Putin by taking Ukraine's sovereign integrity off the table, by taking...
No, I haven't done that. I'm back in Ukraine. I'm back in Ukraine. Don't say that. I'm approving, but I do want security for our money. You know, Europe is getting security. You know that, right? They're giving their money in the form of a loan. Nobody knows that.
Right, because it isn't true.
And why are we at 350 billion and Europe, which doesn't separate with an ocean like we do, we have a little thing called an ocean in between.
Yeah, the little thing called, a crazy little thing called ocean.
Why is it that Europe is paying 200 billion less than us to help?
Because we're actually not giving that money directly to Ukraine. We're paying red states that produce military gear to make that stuff and then sending it over. We're subsidizing red states with it. That's why.
Ukraine, very similar size. If you add up all the European countries, it's a little bit smaller than the U.S. in terms of the economy. Why is it that they're not paying the kind of numbers that they should be paying? And then on top of it, and I've been saying this to Biden, I told Biden, I said, you ought to be asking for either a loan or some kind of a security like.
And he did get that. And they didn't sign it because they wanted to give Trump a win so that he would continue to support Ukraine. And it's just dumb.
Their oil and gas or something for the money, because you're putting up much more money than Europe. And you.
Right, but we're putting it up in the Midwest. 90% of the money that we've given to that goes to Ukraine goes here to red states, paying for ammo and barrels and guns and trucks and all that shit.
You have no security. Europe's putting up a much smaller amount, and it's in the form of a loan. Because we have people that were incompetent in the last administration, grossly incompetent.
Or you can't read. That might be. I mean, I know you don't, but also can't.
And we're changing it. But we change it, and all we do is we get hit by lawsuits from the radical left all the time. But here we are. We stand, and I guess we've done okay. Thank you very much.
Here we are. I'm still standing after all this time. Talk about a true survivor. All right.
Very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Quickly, let's go. Come on, guys. Hey, guys.
Like, he just straight up runs out of steam. That's what this is. Like, we'll see if he, yeah, they don't show him leaving. He just walks past everybody at a certain point. Hold on, let me go back to here. Where are you? There you go. At a certain point, he just, like, you could tell, like, he gets tired of bullshitting and just walks out. And when he's leaving, he doesn't even bother to address anybody around him. Like, they used to give Biden shit for that, when Biden would just finish and leave. And, you know, and part of it was like, they'll fucking pick on me and I'll say something and I don't want to say something. So, you know, that's where he'd shoot a look or he'd say, is that a joke, or those kind of things. But most of the time he kept walking. Trump just does this, like, head down fucking, I'm done. Like, boo. And he just goes and sits. I guarantee it. Like, he goes straight in there. They give him a Diet Coke and a fucking hamburger or whatever it is that's waiting for him, or 4 fish delights. And then he takes it, and then he tells everybody to fuck off, yells at somebody, and then takes a nap. And then that's why he wakes up in the middle of the fucking night, sweating and screaming and typing shit, and then goes back to bed and does it again. Again, a lot of this whole thing, like, guy never sleeps. No, he wakes up at random because he's unhealthy. He can't sleep through the night. And part of it is his brain is starting to fucking rot. That's why I honestly think they're just getting him to sign shit quickly. I think a lot of them are like, fuck, we got to get he's got to sign all this. We're not going to be able to pass a fucking bill. We got to get this shit done now because he's not going to last. I mean, even DOGE, the executive order on the creation of DOGE, it ends July 4th, 2026. Right? It officially, the DOGE agency, whatever directive, ends a year and a half from now. It's temporary. And they basically want whatever the fuck they're doing to be done before the midterms are in full swing, because they want enough pad of time, but, you know, they think the pain that they're creating will be in the rearview mirror enough. But they think he's going to die. I mean, you could tell that, like, they're like, all right, he's on a brain fade. We need him to get this shit done quickly. Yeah, he has sleep apnea, no doubt, and untreated. They're not going to treat any of his illnesses. Like, he's such a bullheaded fuck. He's going to end up in the goddamn hospital because he won't mention anything until it's a crisis. His battery was at 1%. Yeah, they should have a charging pad under the in front of the podium. Hal, did you mention he's been hospitalized since the election? Yeah, he was hospitalized for somewhere. I've heard 5 and I've heard 6 days after the election. He spent almost a week in the hospital, like Elvis on a drip, after the election. because they overdid it. He over-campaigned. And once he won, he just collapsed. And you didn't see him. Like stuff was being written and posted, but it was clearly from, whatever, what's the guy, Dan Scavino, who writes in his voice on fucking, used to tweet for him and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm not worried about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance's biggest concern is like we have to watch out for crypto and some of these like tech motherfuckers like Elon Musk, more so Peter Thiel, weaseling their way into the government and getting themselves a giant government contract that lasts forever. The very thing that they're warning everybody about, they want to sign on to do this. They want to get the new contract for the leaner, faster government. So. J.D. Vance's main concern is his couch. Sorry, Hal, please stop screaming. Let's stop screaming. Let's hear how you think we should deal with this monster. Ask yourself, what would Hal do? Well, I have said that several times, and part of it springs forth from that. I gave the explanation of how I would address some of these things, but I'm also working on a way that the blue states and the DNC can work together to shore up and protect voters during the next 4 years, especially when it comes to integral services, where we can align the blue states together to protect the vulnerable among us, even in red states. But we got to let them know. They got to know they're getting help from the blue states when it happens. The one lesson that Democrats can take from Trump is get a little more comfortable with chest pounding on our successes instead of excusing them all the time and going, well, we're not there yet, right? The perfection is a road, not a destination. And this idea, let's see if I have, do I have one of my coins with me? Is it in the other room? It's in the other room. I'll address that tomorrow, but I'll look into what he's gonna, if he even fucking does this. Well, that's the thing. I don't even know that he's going to. But if he comes out and he does a big press conference where he runs through this list, that's fine. I want to remind everybody that while all this shit is going down, there is one little ray of hope that where there are some people who are like a dog with a bone who are not going to let go of certain issues. And yeah, here it is. That like Comer and Laura Loomer, is it Loomer? No, it's Anna Paulina Luna, the woman who was behind. She was to the right of Nancy Mace when she made her statement, right? Remember how Trump was like, I'm going to release the JFK and the RFK stuff. The Epstein stuff, I don't know. There's a bunch of phony stuff in that. You never know, and you probably shouldn't. I don't know. And we're probably not going to do that. But the other thing, absolutely, whatever. So he signed an order to release the RFK and JFK shit, and they set up a committee. Comer was there, and Luna was there, and somebody else, and they were, they're going to be in charge of declassifying shit, right? UFO stuff, blah blah blah. Okay. Meanwhile, they apparently did not get the memo that the Epstein stuff is off the table. So they're going to start releasing stuff from the Epstein files. Now, they might slow walk it. They might cover for him. There's no reason I would necessarily trust that they will give a complete list. If they find him in there, I wouldn't put it past any of them to take his name off the list or those kind of things, or do the client list so they can avoid the fact that he wasn't a client. He was a fucking running buddy. Right. But again, this is one of those trains that already left the station and they're not going to be able to stop it. It is a runaway train. And these motherfuckers, they're not a part of it. Anna Paulina Luna and these other folks, they didn't have, they have no reason to cover for this. They're going to have a task force in a bid to publish materials related to federal government interests and end an era of secrecy, the lawmaker said. This will be the relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, ensure the American people finally get the truth they've been denied for so long. Awesome. Well, these are like the client list versus the black book, they haven't been real clear about that. But the Epstein files themselves is really what everybody's talking about. And there's a very strong chance that this lady, thinking she's helping, will release that shit and cause more trouble for Trump in the future. Yeah, I don't doubt they'll release the like Clinton or Prince Andrew or any of that shit. And I don't care. Like I said, anybody who's involved with this motherfucker in that capacity, fuck them. I don't care. Doesn't change my values. I might have believed you were a fellow traveler, but if you go that far off the fucking rails, bye. Who cares? Right? The question is, can they admit that Donald Trump was buddies with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 fucking years? 6 years passed when he said they no longer talk to each other. So we shall see. And if, my concern is that that they're going to set up a committee to deal with the kidney in the first place. And
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh, fuck off.
I feel no shame, only pride, because my syphilis is a badge of honor.